Hola mi gente linda and welcome to Panavizión, the Todo So Flow podcast that brings you all local stories, news, and music with your spectacular, phenomenal, once-in-a-lifetime talents. Annette y Clary, the co-founders of Panamia Club.
Thank you so much, Annette. Yes, Panamia Club is a collective that's making finding local musicians and artists and entrepreneurs easier than finding a ripe mango in Miami right now. So every episode will bring you a locally based pana doing amazing things in their community. We'll talk about that, and then we'll also bring in a local musician to discuss their recent projects.
Yes, today we welcome Julie of Easy Peasy Tattoo to discuss queer and BIPOC spaces in Miami, and later we'll hear from Alexx and Chains to hear their latest from The Kids Are Not Okay, a 10-track compilation collab with queer and BIPOC artists in the community. But before we get to that, Clary, ¿cómo andas, girl? How you doing?
Happy to be here, actually, but this morning I was a little betrayed by my cafetera.
What did it do to you?
My cafetera exploded. It exploded and then got coffee and grounds everywhere. So yeah, that's how my morning was.
Are you okay?
I'm okay now because you brought me, full disclosure, a pastry, so that made me feel seen and loved and appreciated.
Of course, babe.
So yeah, I'm doing well now. But I'm super excited to talk about all the new panas we got this week since our last podcast.
Yes. Who did we get?
So first and foremost, we got Girl Cop, a DJ based in Little Havana, that they're part of a two-piece live act called Rental Snakes.
Yes, and then we also got Angel Baby, a Miami-based musician experimenting with genres, especially R&B, pop, and hip-hop, creating, and she says that creating has been incredibly healing.
Oh, that's so sweet. We also have Contigo, which actually they played at our event last Friday. They're a DJ based out of Miami, spinning house and techno, such as deep, acid, classic, disco, electric, all sorts of things. They're very versatile, actually. They were
awesome.
like amazing in our event.
Yes, they actually were spinning during our last event, had a Luna, and just the vibes were spectacular all night long. Next, we have Kitty Boba Tea House. So this is actually a pop-up vendor that I met during the festival last week at Unseen at Oasis.
Ooh, that looked so fun.
It was so fun. They specialize in crafting premium bubble tea drinks made with real fruits for fruit-flavored teas and milk teas.
I really want to taste one of those.
Yes.
Yeah.
It was actually really good.
Yeah?
It was so good. I had one.
Which flavor did you have?
I think it was black sugar tea. Yes, delicious.
That was a good one.
It was yummy.
All right, we also have Neptune Muse. They're an independent singer and songwriter, poet, creative director, astrologer, dance, and a budding producer. So does it all, really.
Yes, amazing. Then we have Light Ones, an artist specializing in large-scale logo painting and letter work, and is a muralist as well.
Awesome. There's also Rosie. They go between Miami and New York City, and they're a DJ specializing in hard techno, tech, trance, gabber, and hardstyle.
I don't recognize probably 3 out of 5 of those genres.
We got some exploring to do.
Yes. Into the Heart Photography, a professional photographer based in Miami, Florida, offering services in family, maternity, event, and wedding photography. So if you need somebody to take your pictures for your special day, definitely hit them up.
Yes, I'm really excited about this one. We also have a person named Gabby DiGianmarco. They're a freelance writer, independent curator based out of Miami, and they also work at a gallery called Camp Gallery. So I'm really excited to check that out.
Absolutely. And then next we have Emily Topaz, an upcoming singer-songwriter in Miami, Florida.
Sweet. I'm excited about this one. It took a minute,
God, me too.
But we got the Pretty High Club.
Yeah, we did. Yes.
They're a women-only events for medical marijuana community. So, yes, we're excited about that one.
Yes, super excited. Shout out to them. And then next, another one that I'm super excited about. Sure. Yes, we have Bold Events by Andrea Macias. They are an event coordinator and production company. And just like they have like a lot of interesting and innovative stuff coming up that we hopefully will get a piece of in the future.
That's awesome.
Yes.
We also have A Love, a locally curated online clothing store here in Miami.
Awesome. And then we have Natasha Rumbos, an urban Latin pop singer, songwriter looking to sing at events. So if the need for an urban singer, songwriter for Latin music, hit my girl up.
We also got T. Scott Studios. They're a local artist selling art on Etsy. They make art prints, acrylic paints, mixed media art, just all the art you need.
Yes. And lastly, we have Blinged by Amy. I'm excited about her because she is actually our first nail tech.
Yes.
Yes.
Yes. And her nails are sick.
Yes.
Yeah.
A personal win for us. So Broward-based personal nail technician,
And the first.
specializes in acrylic sets, mani-pedis, gel charms. So if you need a set, definitely hit her up. And that puts us at 178 panas, if you can believe it.
Yes.
So excited.
That's
Thank
really
you,
exciting.
everybody, for joining us.
Yeah.
We actually got a lot
Yeah.
in these past 2 weeks.
We actually get so happy when we get new panas involved and in the community. So thank you so much. And if you want to become part of this community, I know most of the people that we shouted out today are artists, but we don't just exclusively have artists. Like, we have food vendors, services, so whatever
Goods,
organizations,
organizations, everything under the sun.
We have space for you. So if you want to get involved, if you want to be part of the collective, just reach out, DM us on Instagram, wherever you find us, and we'll let you know.
Yes,
Yeah.
it is free to join.
Yes.
And as always, shout out to Jen and Jeremy, our web
Yes.
developers, for helping us develop our locals directory.
Thank you so much.
Yes. And as you know, it's important to stay educated on what's going on with our panas, but also what's going on in our local community.
Yes.
So luckily, Claudia and I are here to catch you up in lo que está pasando in South Florida in our segment, Meanwhile in Florida.
Yeah, so first up, meanwhile in South Florida, the day is here. It's here. We are at the 786 Film Festival today, presented by Omega Spit and hosted by Casa Crea. We're actually going to run out there right after this.
Yes,
after this
absolutely.
podcast.
So excited to
Yes.
hear from all of those local filmmakers. We've been shouting this event out for like the past 2 podcast episodes.
Yes, but if you just found out about it right now, they're spotlighting local filmmakers from all experience levels in their community. So you can find the tickets on Shotgun, or I'm pretty sure you can also buy them there. So yeah, if you're there, we'll see you.
Yes. Also, another event happening today. Our pana, JK Hill, is collabing with Backroom Sessions for an event that they're producing at Naomi's Garden. And you can hear awesome, independent, local artists like friend of the podcast, Still Blue, shout out.
Yes.
Butterfly Snapple and Midday Moon. That is going to be at 7 p.m. at Naomi's Garden. And I don't know where you can buy tickets, but check Backroom Sessions.
Yeah, Backroom Sessions for sure. So, do you want to perform a mango season miracle? If you find yourself over endowed with mangoes, the news is that Zach the Baker is offering to turn every 6 mangoes into a loaf of bread. So bring them 6 mangoes in exchange for 1 loaf of bread.
Until the end of June. Yes.
And then also
Zach the Baker, please sponsor us.
Yes, please. Also become a pana. Also, Jen, our lovely developer, they actually have new music out with our other pana, Igor.
Yes.
So please go out and check that out. New music.
Yes.
Music.
And then in Panamia Club news, June 9th is our next podcast episode. So you definitely want to tune in to our next episode. We're going to be talking with Smash Miami, and they are a collective that is specifically pushing for affordable housing in Miami, which is obviously something we're all interested in. So definitely tune in for that.
Yes, for sure. And then the other news is that tomorrow is
Whoop,
our
whoop.
first Club de Pana. It's in collaboration with Dear Eleanor. You don't want to miss it. It's going to be a really, really cute event. I'm going to be teaching yoga, Annette's going to be teaching some art. Tickets are online on Shotgun. They're $5. And then also shout out to Leo from Pigeon Society, who made our flyer design.
Yes.
So big thank you.
Yes,
for
he's a
that.
pana of ours. So the way that it's going to be working out with Club de Pana flyers is that every time we're going to be inviting artists in the community to design it for us. So we're already looking for our next flyer designer. So hit us up and we will be more than happy to work with you.
These events are bi-weekly. So the first one is tomorrow and the next one is June 10th. So
Do you have that off the top of your head?
it's my sibling's birthday, so yeah.
Oh, okay. All right, cool. Okay. And then next news, Really cool. Okay, really cool. So we just finished recording on Tuesday. Was it Tuesday?
Yes.
Yes. A Panamia astrology reading by our resident astrologer, Kat, aka Earth Palace. And if that name sounds familiar to you, it's because we had her as a guest in our last episode, and she talked a little bit about having like readings done for organizations, which is exactly what we did. We gave her the launch date for Panamia, which was August 1st, 2022. And she created a sunrise chart for our organization. So we'll be releasing the highlights for that soon. And if you want to read the whole reading, you can check it out on our Patreon.
Speaking of which, that's our last piece of news, is that we've created a Patreon. So we're going to have some really cool exclusive content on there. A lot of you have been asking like how to support us if you aren't like a business, or if you can't make it to our events. So that's a really good way to get a little bit more involved, and then also support us, find some really cool material, content. So yeah, check it out.
Absolutely.
And that's it for Meanwhile in SoFlo. If you have anything interesting going on, please let us know. You can reach out to us again on Instagram, and we can add whatever it is that you got going on our next podcast.
Awesome. So now that we're all caught up with community things, we can finally bring in our lovely guest and querida pana, Julie of Easy Peasy Tattoos. Welcome, love. Yes. Oh, let's get you a mic. Here we go. Welcome. Hi. Hi, beautiful.
Oh, wow,
You look gorgeous today.
Thank you. I tried.
How you doing? How was the drive over? Long, right?
Oh my God, so long. 2 minutes, maybe.
2 whole minutes. Oh, that Miami traffic for you.
Yeah, to give you all some context, we're like on 73rd right now. I was just at Easy Peasy, my studio, and it's on 79th and Biscayne. So like right next to the Anderson Eastside Pizza. I could probably have walked here.
Yes. Great location.
If you could trust the weather to not rain on you.
Right. Or burn me alive.
Yeah.
All right. So thank you for coming on. Please tell us about yourself. Who are you?
Who am I? My name is Julie Francis. I'm a tattoo artist, a regular artist, and now I'm a business owner, which is pretty wild to think about.
Wow. Congratulations on that transition.
Congrats.
It's not easy. Welcome to the club.
Thank you. Yeah, my tattoo studio is called Easy Peasy. I think it's pretty special because it's like one of the only queer spaces, especially tattoo spaces in Miami. It's owned by someone who is from Miami, a woman, and then also an artist, because it's hard to find that combination of 3 things when it comes to a tattoo shop, or like at this point in Miami's history, like any business owned by like a woman.
Yeah, no, that's incredible.
Yeah.
What part of Miami are you from?
I grew up in Hialeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
Awesome. And
by the fire station, if anybody. By Okeechobee Road.
The exact coordinates.
Childhood home. Yeah. All right, wonderful. So tell us a little bit about how that was for you to open up your own business. Had you had any experience having a business before, or was it how did that happen?
So this is my first time owning my own business, but the way I learned to tattoo was running tattoo studios for other people. So I did have experience kind of with the management side of things. And then before that, I put myself through school by managing a Starbucks, and then I managed a nail salon, and then I figured I wanted to tattoo. So then I started managing tattoo shops. So
wow.
Even though I went to school to do something creative, and I've been in magnet program since middle school, it's just capitalism just put me in management roles, So it was. I feel like it was just a matter of time before I was okay, let me merge these 2 things. You know?
No, that's really cool that you were able to merge the best of both worlds. Now you're managing something that you love.
Yeah,
that's yours.
No, and I think when I decided to become a tattoo artist, I didn't think I would own my own studio or run my own studio, but it's just the more I was in the industry and the longer I was back in Miami after school, I was just Miami needs this. I can't believe there's nowhere doing this.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And honestly, you've built a a beautiful community around your shop, and like so quickly too, because you started like October, no?
I mean, and that's what's beautiful about Miami, and what I think a lot of people miss out on is that, like, honestly, I just had to open the doors and everybody just came, and started doing their thing. Like, I just keep the lights on and keep it clean, and people are just like doing their own thing in the space. So sometimes I feel like I get a lot of credit for like things that like other people are doing in my space. So, honestly, I just always try to turn the conversation back around to the artists that are working at my studio, the people who are coming to me to run events there, just like different things. Like my idea was just like, I'm paying rent, might as well just open the doors. When we're not tattooing, we're doing other things, So yeah, I think most of the credit I want to give to like the people with the motivation to do things, and they're just looking for a space to do it, like y'all. You know?
No, absolutely. We still want to give you your flowers, though.
Thank you.
Yes. It's a beautiful shop.
Thank you.
I visited on one occasion, actually during like one of those events that you're talking about. It was a Fatty's reunion.
The clothing swap?
Yes, the clothing swap. It was a clothing swap. I brought my sister, and like my sister is like not super social. So when I brought her into this space, I literally just dropped her off because I had a meeting that I had to attend to. But when I came back, she was in the best mood.
Yay.
She was like, wow, like such an amazing supportive community. And she had like just a great time, which like honestly as a big sister was like, made my heart smile and all that.
That's so sweet. No, Fatties is another thing that I do with two other people, Liz, who is Studio Sprite on Instagram, and Nancy, who is Papaya Dulce on Instagram.
Yes.
The three of us are plus size baddies, and we're like, let's make a group for fatties.
Yes.
And so naturally, like we've been doing Fatties since before I opened Easy Peasy, but like as soon as I opened Easy Peasy, it was like, come on, it's gonna be like Fatties HQ.
Right. Right. No, amazing.
So yeah, like we do some Fatties events at Easy Peasy. They're like sisters. Yeah.
That's so cool. I
Yeah.
actually didn't know that.
Yeah.
Awesome.
That's amazing. I love how there are so many places in Miami that are now like kind of hosting so many different things. Like right now we're in a Shotgun office that also houses Miami Community Radio. Yeah. And so like to find those places that are just like in so many different communities and attracting so many people, it's really beautiful.
And we're kind of in a similar situation too, where Dear Eleanor, and now we have that collaboration where like they are going to be hosting our Club de Pana bi-weekly community gathering. So it's like always super cool to kind of like stumble onto those collaborations where you're like, oh wow, this beautiful community is in this beautiful venue doing beautiful things. Great.
Yes, we need more of those. We definitely do.
Yeah. Well, I've always thought that there's definitely like two Miamis. There's like the made for tourists, glitz and glammy, like a show-offy Miami, which is like fun to be a part of sometimes, and to be like, I live where you vacation kind of situation. But then there's like the I don't know, homegrown Miami, and like the people that are from here, I've felt like are just so genuine and just want like the best for like their other people. And like I feel like it's definitely like within like the Latin culture to just like connect your friends and your family and like just like get everybody on board. And so I do feel like there is a beautiful community of queer people coming together and young people to make things happen that we want to see here, because I think that we don't really want to leave Miami. People who leave Miami are usually forced to, because the things that they want to do just aren't happening here.
Yeah, and it's like really difficult because it like happens a lot where we talk to people from always you have that conversation where it's like, oh, I hate Miami so much, right? That's always like somebody talking about how much they hate Miami, and then they list like obviously like all of the things that are obstacles and stuff like that,
which are valid, valid.
100%, 100%. But it like it's sad because you see all the beautiful things and you see all the potential, and it's just like, I don't know. It needs space. It needs like structure and foundations that hopefully like you, for example, are building in Little River. And yeah.
Yeah. Well, I think we were
thoughts.
we were kind of like DMing a little bit about this,
Yes.
about how there's like a lot of money in Miami from like international spaces and also from like New York and California, and like, you know, no shade to people who want to come to Miami and like do things. I get it. Like Miami's great, but there really aren't any like protections in place for like locals that want to do things, and we're like getting priced out.
Yeah.
So I was blessed to find the space that I found that was like at a reasonable price that I could like keep up with, because there I did see some other spaces out there that were just way beyond my budget for like a hovel, you know?
Yes.
So, and it's because of that Miami connection that I found this space, you know, somebody telling somebody and then this and that, you know, so it's just, things worked out for me because of that. But yeah, it's just, I would love to see more people from Miami being able to open their own businesses and do things like that, but it's just so difficult with like the economic climate we're in right now, and just like the way politics are working here. Like I think we just saw that the mayor was giving pretty much like a fast pass to like certain people to like build things.
Yeah.
You know,
Gladys was just talking to me about that earlier, and I also saw that, and we were like,
yeah, that man's
wild.
not having an easy week.
yeah, it's good. He shouldn't be.
Yeah, he
yeah,
shouldn't
for
be.
sure.
But meanwhile, people like us, we're just trying to do innocent things.
Yeah.
You know,
Yeah.
Just trying to help communities.
And it can be difficult. It can be really difficult. Like I definitely was, and opening a tattoo studio isn't even that hard when you compare it to like food industry or even like opening a barber shop, like different things like that. Like relatively opening a tattoo shop is kind of easy. And I still had days where I was like wanting to beat my head against the wall because of like the bureaucracy. And it's just like, if you want to put one toe over here, the city's like, give me my check.
Right.
You know, it's just like money after money. And I've like,
Right.
yeah. And it took me a few years to like save up enough to open Easy Peasy.
Yeah.
Right. Oh, so this has been years in the works.
Well, yeah. I think like as soon as I started working tattooing in like these different studios in Miami, I was just like, I'm enjoying myself at this studio. We're friendly, but like I'm not really feeling like this is it, you know? And then like even my friends would come by to different studios I worked at, and they're like, it's cool, but like it's not you know? And when I used to tattoo at home, people love that. And I think I have a couple clients that like didn't get tattooed by me when I was in a studio because they just like missed getting tattooed from my house. So yeah, I think like after a few months of working at my last tattoo studio, I was just like, okay, I'm gonna start putting away money and like planning to open my own space, because it's time. Yeah.
I think my first time hearing about Easy Peasy was I was at a dinner at Finca Morada, and like probably half of the people that were there, while they were leaving, they were like, yeah, we're gonna go to Easy Peasy. I was like, what is that? They were just like, it's like the queer hangout spot. The queer hangout spot.
I love that.
And I just like wanted to hear like about how like you built like, because I think like now more than ever too, in like the political climate that we're in, like we might like Miami, like Florida's obviously being, you know, terrible to to people that are gay and like minorities and all that.
Yeah.
And
Undocumented people.
Yeah. And we like to, I think people in Miami like to think that like, oh, we're like an island, that doesn't really affect us, but
yeah, we're not really Florida, but
but we're not, right? Like I think like a book just got pulled out of all of the Miami-Dade schools off of like one parent like you know, complaining about it, right?
The ACLU, I think, is also like suing to have like all of the counties like redrawn because of racial gerrymandering, which is also like a huge issue when it comes to like our communities having a say, and our voices being heard.
And so I just like wanted to talk to you about like how can like if other places want to build safe spots for people of color or queer people, like what are some tips that you would give them? Like what does that look like on a mass? Like how can we make more inclusive and safe spaces?
I mean, it's kind of like I was saying earlier, it's like, especially if you are white, like just sit down and like open your doors and let other people do things. Obviously I have a responsibility to keep my space clean and safe and like not let bigoted people in, but that's just, I mean, it's everything I do with Easy Peasy. It's like directed towards queer people. Like I'm not even worried about sanitizing the way Easy Peasy looks to like be acceptable to other people. And I feel like I have worked in spaces before where they have been afraid to be like openly political about certain things. They're just like, well, we tattoo, we're not like a politician, you know. It's kind of like, yeah, but you kind of have to have opinions about these things and like be outspoken about like what you stand for as owners or you know, as people with a business in this community.
I feel like at this point there's no such thing as being unbiased.
Yeah. So
maybe there never was.
I'm very vocal about what I believe in, what Easy Peasy is. Like I don't shy away from using like queer hashtags, like queer this, queer. Like I'm not scared to be labeled as queer, which I think some people are. And yeah, when I'm doing something in Easy Peasy, like again, like I just open the doors and we have a good time. And I think that's why people feel welcome there, because it's just like Easy Peasy, you know, like, and that's why I named it that as well, because that was like the culture that I wanted in the space. I just wanted people to feel like it was unpretentious and open and fun, and we're just gonna have a good time, like wholesome. And that's how I feel after every event we have there. I'm just like, this was so wholesome, like so nice, you know.
That's so great. I always think that when you name things, there's an intention behind it always.
Mm-hmm.
Like, I feel like names are so powerful in creating that intention, but it's also like the way that you've curated the space, which like, you know, as an artist, I want to ask you about because it's so pretty. Thank you. Who designed it? Who did that? Who won?
So the floors, which are you've seen are like kind of white checkered, like kind of situation. Those were already in there, and so I was just like, okay, I'm not about to tear these out. They're cute, but they are kind of loud. So I was just kind of looking for colors that would go with it. So I picked that like cute coconut color that's on the wall. My friend Nancy helped me a lot with that. I just called her. I was like, what are you doing? I want to go to Home Depot and look at paint. And she was like, I'm on my way.
Yes.
Great.
Love those friends.
And then yeah, like a lot of the furniture is just from OfferUp, and that's pretty much it. Like, just want it, and then it's like quintessential like Miami kind of furniture too, like the colors and the laminates and everything. And then the murals on the wall, I wasn't sure I wanted them
at first, but then like as we were in the space, we don't have very many windows. So I was just like, we need to bring some more like light in here.
Right.
And there's only so many mirrors you could put up. So me and one of the other artists, Pammy, we just started drawing on the walls. And then like we would paint whenever we had free time, or like whenever one of us was like going through something, we'd be like, I need to paint. And just like grab the little paints and like start going at it. So I mean, like anytime you're in Easy Peasy, you might see like an extra little flower on the wall, or like the bathroom has another coat of paint. Like we're all just like doing it whenever we can.
That's gorgeous. It's like a living space.
Yeah.
Aw.
And that's kind of one of the, again, if I can do the furniture, like everything is kind of like light and moves around. Like all of our tattoo beds fold up. Usually in tattoo studios, you see like a lot of heavy furniture, like toolboxes, things like that, maybe cabinets. But like when you come to like an Easy Peasy event, whether it's like a movie or a Fatty's clothing swap or something, we fold up all the beds, we stack everything up, like so that space can be really opened up. And I've thought about like, oh man, it would be cool to have this or that, and then I'm like, yeah, but then the events, and I can't do those. So it's a very modular space, like for that reason.
It's very malleable, very versatile. I noticed it when I walked into the Fatty's event, and then I would see pictures of Easy Peasy like every now and then, and it's like, this is definitely different.
Like moved around. No, it definitely has like a default setup for like tattooing every day. But when we do events, we're just kind of like, move this, fold it up, like we definitely open the space up. It's not a big space, but we do what we can with it.
That's incredible. And I think just like as a last question, I'm curious, how do you pick your artists? I don't know if you do pick them, but like how does that work? Like out of curiosity.
A few of the artists that I have in the space right now, so Vu, who is Aloe Arms, and Agua, who is Agua Dulce on Instagram. I had been working with them before. Agua I had met, we were working at the ICA together, like back in the day. And then Vu, we just became like Instagram friends, and then eventually worked at Sky together, and then found we worked well together. So obviously when I opened my new space, I was like, you come in to both of them. And they were both like, of course, like super happy, because we all just wanted a queer space. And then like they've introduced me to the other artists that have come through, like Nadia, who's Vessel Works on Instagram. And then Pammy, I had been following on Instagram. So Instagram is like a big part of like finding other artists, because a lot of us, like, we're too scared to be in big studios if you're like a non-traditional artist. So we're just like working from home, you know, or working from an undisclosed location so the health department doesn't come get us. So it was more just like, okay, listen, like we have a spot that feels like home, come through. And so I'm really happy that they've all felt welcome in the space.
That's incredible.
Beautiful. Yes.
Yeah. No, but thank you again. I feel like a little bit of a hypocrite because I actually have never gotten a tattoo, and I probably won't. I'm actually a very indecisive person, but Glady.
But that's okay.
6.
You know, that's why we do the other events too, so that you could still come hang out with us and you don't have to be like a cool kid with a tattoo, you know? I had actually never been in a tattoo studio until I was like maybe 23. I'm 31 now, because I was so scared of them. I was so scared of going into a tattoo shop. Because they were all just like, machismo, like dark, da-da-da. If you want to get something cute or small, you're stupid, like that kind of feeling.
Oh my gosh, that's actually so true now that I think about it.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
So I just like, you know, I want people to come hang out, obviously, to get a tattoo. That's how I make my money. That's my bread and butter. That's my creative process. But then like I want to host people. And we did a Twilight movie watching series. We do the clothing swaps. We do little markets, like... so I want people to come feel like they can hang out with us, even if they're not getting a tattoo. And sometimes getting a tattoo is so serious, you know, because you're getting something permanent or you're nervous, that it's fun to have something that we could just hang out as well. Yeah.
And your space definitely attracts that. So thank you. And so thank you so much for talking with us, Julie. We look forward to seeing all the beautiful things that are going to be coming out of your studio in the future. And now we are actually really excited to introduce this next guest. So we're going to say goodbye to Julie.
Bye for now.
Yes. And now we are very excited to introduce our Pana Querida and former MCR resident, Alexx in Chains.
Hey, good evening, ladies.
Good
Hello.
evening. Welcome, love.
Thank you so much. I'm so excited to be here.
Excited to have you.
Yes, and we are actually going to be hearing a sample from their latest 10-track collab compilation, The Kids Are Not Okay, that is going to be playing now. Yes. All right. Okay, cool.
Yeah.
So tell us a little bit about this.
So this project is probably like the thing that I'm most proud of as far as like output is concerned. It's so I got together with my partner in our gaze collective. We were originally throwing parties, but we had gotten together sometime last year, and we had a conversation just outside of the club that we were at, and we were just talking about how like this was right before the Don't Say Gay, like the House Bill 1557, right before it had gotten passed. So it was like, is this gonna happen? And I mean, it did happen, but at the time, we had a conversation of, well, we know immediately once this law gets passed, there's going to be legal initiatives that are going to, you know, we have to do our best to, as people who are creating spaces, safe spaces in the community, that it is also our responsibility as well to join in the fight against like kind of like draconian legislation. So we did it the best way that we knew how.
Well said.
And South Florida, as you guys know, is just so full of amazing raw talent, right? And the queer scene especially has some really amazing creators. So it was just as easy as reaching out to all of those people who have like, you know, people who I've seen grow, people who I'm proud that I was able to give a platform at some point before. It was just like really calling on those people, and also people that I admire, people who have been a part of queer culture and a part of the underground scene in Miami for decades. And all of those people like were just so supportive of the project, and they all donated a track to this compilation. And all of the proceeds that we get from the compilation we're giving to Equality Florida, who are suing the state with the Don't Say Gay laws and moving forward all of this new legislation that was just passed.
Awesome. No, that's incredible. And what is the name of the track that we're going to be listening to now?
So the name of this track is, the artist is Tweaks, and the name of the track is Forgive Me, Father, for I Have Sinned. And this track is kind of important in her journey because it's basically, when she created the track, it was kind of in remembrance of like an upbringing in Jamaica, and basically the dissonance that she had kind of growing up to a place where she felt so connected to the land and so connected to its heritage, but also, you know, everybody from the Caribbean knows that the culture isn't necessarily the most inclusive and the best sort of space to realize one's true identity. So that track is just so, I loved it. That's why it's the first track on the compilation, because I really do think like it sets the tone for the rest of the compilation and the catharsis that I was trying to build with it.
Incredible.
Bless me, Father, for our sins.
That's so cool.
It's been too long.
Like I'm a teenager. Way you make me feel like I'm a teenager. Sneaking through your window, sneaking glasses while you walk slow. How pass in hand can I come to? Feel the shit in my blood. Can't stress it enough. Can't stress it enough. She said the music moves her body down, down, down. She knows I'll always be around, round, round. We already got the rhythm. You make me live from the heart. Not a bad place to start. Jay says it's a good place to start. Approaching a new phase. Rebelling from my old way. Letting go of the old days with no flame. Yeah. Feel closer to myself. Yeah. More I'll let you go. More I'll let you go. Feel deeper in myself. Can't stress it enough. I just wanna let the love flow. Sometimes it stresses you out. Damn. Think I lost my jobs last night. Life's still a trip. We come together coalesce. Contingent touch based on, am I drunk enough? Off the look alone. Look alone leaves me drunk. For the moment, the feelings are. Will be a losing game to wage war. Guessing. So I'll let you play in my ear. I quiet down my fear. I let myself feel. Buzz current shooting through my soul now. Yeah. Through my soul now. Yeah. I let allow. Give in to you. I let allow. Give in to you. I let allow.
Ooh, I
Nice.
loved that.
Nice.
Yeah, it's a great way to start off the compilation just because like I put together the tracks in a way too where like it starts off with sort of like the slower, more contemplative tracks, and then like I sort of end it with more club ready tracks, just because like I think it was important to paint like all the pictures of the queer experience where you do have those soft contemplative moments. But at the end of the day, we're a culture that's built in having fun and celebrating and collaborating and, party, party, party all the time.
Yes.
Hell yeah. Hell yeah.
Actually, one of our musicians that we had, the first musician we had on here, Golden Floor, he has a song about climate change that's just a party song too. So
You have to find celebration in all of it, or else it'll drive you mad.
yeah,
Absolutely.
That's true. So yeah, we'd love to hear a little bit more about like how you found music and your experience like as a musician.
So I'm like classically trained. I was in choir for like 8 years, probably up until like junior or like the beginning of senior year. But in that time also, like I had like a very deep affinity at the start of high school, like up until now, like for like electronic music also. I was like the one person who was like listening to electronic music, like always wanting to go out to the club even though I never could. And then I turned 18 and then I could go to the club. I'm born and raised in Orlando too. But I knew like towards the end of high school that I had wanted to move down to Miami. Like it was always like a dream. It was always like, I am going to move to Miami. And then I got to go to FIU, and it was like,
How did it feel?
how did I feel?
How did it feel like once you got here?
Well, it was like great, but also it was like a complete and utter failure. I only lasted a year at FIU, but I found Miami's clubbing scene though. So, one didn't necessarily influence the other in a really good way. So I ended up moving back to Orlando, and then I got into like Orlando's like nightlife scene like a lot. It started off like you just make friends with everybody. It's a very small community over there, and you just make friends. And then I started to want to like write about events too, just because like I have a passion for writing also. And I'm like, who's chronicling this, when history is being made, so to say. But I still had a relationship with Miami though, and this was like when the Electric Pickle was still open in Wynwood, which is like kind of it was like kind of the pivotal, I feel like, dance music institution like of its time. It was like one of the first clubs that opened up in Wynwood, and it really at the time was like focused on like the real quality underground sound. And so it was kind of like going there. I was always going there, and I befriended the people there, and that's kind of just like how I got into the Miami scene in general. And I also at the time started like working with 3 Points too. I was like working with an artist who works for 3 Points, and like it was just like being in that scene. And then you start to work like other events, and I was like kind of doing like a hospitality role and like a stage managing role, but also I was still writing too. And I've always been passionate about the music. I think that's like at the base level, everything. It's for me, I'm just passionate about like music and dance music and the people who make it. So like it's always been kind of like a dream of mine to exist in that space, using what I think like my greatest ability, which is like the gift of like connecting people and being able to connect with people.
Fantastic.
And like that's kind of just my ethos of being in the scene, I want to be able to bring people together. So fast forward to a post-pandemic society,
Right.
when we're all getting back to getting together. A good girlfriend of mine, the one who I do this project with, MBMB, she also has a track on the compilation as well. We had that conversation and we put this together. But even before that, when we started Gaze, it was me, her, and Gami, who's Ultra Them, who is kind of like, she's a star in the queer underground, and I think like she's the main player of who has made the queer underground what it is today. So we all got together and we're like, let's do something together. We had thrown like a little barbecue for our friends like a little bit earlier, and then when Pride was coming up and we had like the opportunity to host an event, so we hosted our first gays. And it was like a madhouse. It was during Winwood Pride, so it was a true celebration. And we had it at ATV Records, which is like Electric Pickle 2.0. After Electric Pickle closed, they opened that location downtown. And it was such a spectacular night to see a place that's usually filled with like, you know, hetero, straight, cis people, to be filled with nothing but queer people. Like, it was just like a beautiful sight to behold, that we can occupy these spaces, and like also to, you know, we had a headliner, but also we filled it up with like the community too. I think we had a Pressure Point play that night, and it was just like, this is what we can do. We can link like people who are so talented and undiscovered here in Miami with like kind of bigger artists, and that's like the bridge that I'm trying to build, because I think like in the grand scheme of the underground across like the world, like Miami often gets like looked over just because I think people already have like a preconceived notion of what we are. Like we're just sort of gaudy and like, you know, tasteless, and you know what people say about Miami.
Oh my God.
Especially
Yes.
like New Yorkers.
Yeah.
So like
They don't let us evolve.
Yeah.
but also too, you have to remember like Miami's a young city. Like Miami as it exists today has been around for less than 100 years.
Yeah.
So we haven't had time to develop like other major cities.
I feel like we're definitely very misunderstood.
Misunderstood.
For sure.
Yeah.
We're finding our way though, I think.
Yeah, more so now. Yeah, I see a lot of the youth, actually, a lot of like young people redefining it. So yeah, thank you so much, Alexx, for talking with us. But don't go away just yet. We're gonna ask Julie to come back onto our little space here. We're gonna have to scoot over a little bit.
Yes.
For our segment.
Pass over the mic, please.
Yes. There you go.
Yes.
You guys keep pulling mics out of like every direction.
We come prepared. Yes.
Yes.
And now, welcome back for our segment, Keke,
Okay.
where Clary, Julie, Alexx, and I will answer your questions. So this is where like each of us answer a question from the audience. So I'm going to be asking the first question, and it is for Julie, and it is from our beloved Pana B from Chill Otter, and she's asking you, when do you feel the most valued and appreciated?
Definitely as we're cleaning up from one of our events, like it's either like in the midst of the middle of an event when everybody's like laughing and having fun and or it's like after, when we're cleaning it up and like we're just kind of like reminiscing about the event and like how many people came through and how crazy it was, or just how sweet or whatever, just like reminiscing on the event. So I would say like it's when the space is like full of people, I think, is when I'm just like, oh my God, like, I did this.
Yes, I can definitely relate to that.
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah, there's definitely a moment in an event where you look around, you see smiling faces, you're like, wow, I did good.
You did something.
Yeah.
Right.
There's this tangible.
I know the feeling very well, and it's like, it's fulfilling.
There's
There's no
It's
feeling
magical.
like
Yeah, there's nothing like it.
it. Yeah.
We're like actively making Miami worth being in.
Yes.
Exactly.
Yes.
For people like us, you know?
I think often it kind of like that makes the feeling better of like, I feel like sometimes it feels like you're building on quicksand here, because there's always some sort of glass ceiling to break, but like it's when you're able to do that, like it just feels so good.
I have a Capricorn moon, so that's part of the thrill.
Lovely. Okay. So for Alexx, we also have a question from B as well. When have you felt most understood?
When have I felt most understood? I feel like I am most understood also too, because you can't imagine how kind of like hard it is to explain like a nightlife pathway to them, you know, like to them, I feel like they just think like I'm going out and I'm partying and I'm like whatever, but I'm actually trying to build something and build on a community. They just can't perceive that. But I feel most understood when I'm with like the people who are closest to me, the people who are doing this also, because we all come from the same cloth essentially. That's why we all connect. We're all little kids of the night.
That's really cool. And like I did want to ask you, so like what is gaze exactly?
Excuse me. So gaze, it's hard to say what it is specifically, but what we are for sure, I think are, sorry, oh my gosh, are just two friends who want to build on the community here, you know, whether it's through events or whether it's through these compilations. We just want to make a statement with the music that we like.
Okay, awesome. No, just because.
Oh my gosh.
Sorry, I love it.
No, you're.
Here you go.
Oh my gosh, thank you.
Yeah, no problem.
I get the same when I'm talking a lot. I feel
Yeah,
that.
that's why I try to keep water here, but every time I have water here, it spills.
Yeah.
Like Philip's like nodding in the back, like I have to clean that
A
up.
menace.
Okay, so I'm gonna ask this next question, and it's actually for the both of us from Nouveau.cs.
Okay.
And
Thank you,
he's
Nouveau.
asking if we always host and attend events together.
The answer is we try to, because it's more fun that way.
Yes.
It's more fun when you're
Yes.
around with your friends.
Yes. Yeah. And the fact of the matter is that we try to do everything all at once, and it is a lot. So sometimes we do need to divide and conquer. But especially for the important things, we always try to make sure that we're here together. So the podcast, we always host it together. Events, we always like host them together.
Yeah.
Tabling, we always try to table together.
If we're missing, I take notes. So like we take notes for each other so we can be on the same page. But that's actually kind of like where it all started, because like before, when we ran our own separate businesses, it was a lot to do. And we would sometimes, when Annette was at an event that I wasn't at, tabling myself, I would meet up like a little bit after the event, or like before, a little bit like before it closed, so that like she had someone to help out with like breaking down a tent, because that's not an easy thing to do.
It's intense.
It's like
and
a 10
that's
by
like friendship.
yeah,
For sure.
Yeah.
right. So I
Nah,
think
she's my
it's
bestie.
just better that way. Yeah. So yeah,
All right. Cool. So
I think that's.
you or me? Do I ask?
I don't know.
No,
That's
I
enough
did. Okay, you go.
questions.
You go.
That's enough questions. Okay.
That's enough?
No, we'll have one more. We'll have
Okay.
one more. Okay. What's the biggest misconception about you? Thanks, B, for this question.
Yes. Okay. Biggest misconception about me is, well, there are two things. One is that most people think I'm younger than I look. Most recently, I was teaching at a middle school, and like one day, I had 4 people, including 2 students, ask me what grade I was in.
Oh my gosh.
Wow.
Yes.
I had the opposite. When I was in middle school, people used to think I was the teacher.
Did you get away with stuff that way?
No, I was just like, I'm 13. Like, I was offended.
But if you're a teacher, you can pass with that whole "I'm one of y'all."
Yeah. I could definitely like play some tricks, but no, I played it cool. And then the other thing is that I think specifically navigating in artist spaces, I tend to have like a little bit more of I guess like a business mindset. Not because of anything, but I love the creative aspect of being an artist. But the fact of the matter, especially being in Miami, is that it's like very much driven in like revenue, and especially the way that like when I was running my individual business, I was an artwear brand. So like that specific route that I took was definitely, of course, a business. So I feel like when I engaged often with like artists in the community, they kind of like sense that I'm not like full like free whatever like artist type, and it's like I don't know, it creates like a little bit of friction, but it's not because I'm not like that. It's just I'm always thinking about like how can I make this sustainable.
Of course.
Yeah.
So yeah,
gotta pay
That
the
idea of the starving artist is really romantic, but that's not what we want to be doing.
Right.
We want to be, abundance. We want to.
Absolutely.
No, and
Yeah.
it's hard to affect change when you don't have any money.
Exactly.
Yeah,
If
unfortunately.
we all were rolling in it, this would be a completely different city.
Yeah.
But the fact of the matter is that like we're all coming from very humble beginnings, and like you're just trying to make something, and like you could have the best mission, right? But you gotta have some sort of cha-ching, like, or at least somebody who can help out. I think that's like why in Miami, I think that's the power of networking too, is that like, if you at least can put on like a good attitude, you can at least like, there's so many people who have so much money here. And so, if you're just like real with people, I don't know, I feel like good things come to people who can go out and look for it and network it.
Absolutely. We need to develop schemes, but like not in a schemy way, but schemes to redistribute the wealth.
Yeah, it's redistribution.
And lift each other up.
Yes.
Kind of way.
Yes, for sure.
Yes.
Okay, well, thank you so much for answering all of our questions and for coming on this podcast with us.
Yeah, absolutely.
If you want to find out more about our amazing, beautiful, awesome guests, you can find Easy Peasy Tattoos on Instagram, and then Alexx in Chains. That's Alexx with 2 X's and 2 S's. Alexx in Chains.
Not everybody gets that.
No.
No, we double checked. We looked at our notes.
I thought it was 3, but it's 2.
It's 2.
It's too.
It's
Yes.
2. Okay. Yes.
Yeah, and if you enjoyed our podcast and you want others to engage with their fellow panas, leave us a review on Apple, Spotify, YouTube, or wherever you get our podcast. And also now, subscribe to our Patreon. Yes. Okay, bye. Love you.
Bye.